What up, though, my babies? It's your girl Nova Rain back with another Ratchet to Righteous story time. And woo child. All right, listen, let me tell y'all, this one is a doozy. Basically, I'm gonna tell you the story of how I wasted 5 years of my life in my early 20s, no less, riding shotgun with a 49-year-old ex-con who sold me nothing but dreams and drama on the east side of Detroit. And how eventually I ended up having to fight for my life in the backseat of a Chrysler after his so-called tenant ran up on me. Now let's get into this. Okay, so boom, y'all, I'm 17 years old, okay? Just finished chilling at this little greenery spot that we call the tree house. And so I'm walking out and you know me, I'm feeling cute, I'm feeling grown, it's just getting late, I'm trying to get my butt home. And this guy that I used to go to school with calls me over to this van he was sitting in or whatever. And he calls me over, he like, what? My mans wanna holler. So I'm like, here we go with this my mans wanna holler mess. And I'm just like, whatever. I looked him up and down and I'm like, at least it's the driver trying to get on, right? So he looked clean though. You know what I'm saying? I looked upside his head. His bald head was shiny. You know what I'm saying? The van looked like a work van, but he looks clean. You know, his clothes looked like they had old paint on them, but he clearly had a job. Okay, it looked like he was a boss. And like I said, the whip was new, it was washed, and even though he was working, he did have on a leather coat, fresh line up on the mustache, shiny bald head. Said his name was JB. Now, to me, he looked to be maybe like 37, 38. So he asked me my age. I went on ahead and told him I'm 17. Now, I learned my lesson. I don't lie about my age. And that's because about a year before that, I got caught up. But that's a whole nother story time. So stay tuned for that one. But so he gonna ask me how old I think he was. And I told him, I'm like, I was trying to be nice though. I was like, maybe like 35. Girl, why does ninja say he was 49 years old? He like, I'm 49, I'll be 50 in May. I was like, yeah, right. I don't believe. Girl, this nigga pulled out his ID and sure enough, that said he was 49. Yeah, 49. Was the uncle to one of the dudes that work in the treehouse or whatever. So he was like, yeah, girl, I seen you earlier coming out the gas station and I made it my mission to get you in my passenger seat. I was like, what? But let me tell you, how about it was mission accomplished, y'all, okay? Because next thing I know, I'm spending my days riding through Detroit and a little bit of Ohio in either one of his work trucks, because he had 3, or his regular pickup truck or whatever. Girl, running so-called errands, taking care of his business, and vibing. Now, that whole summer, that's what we did. But let me be clear, I wasn't just doing nothing with my life, you know what I mean? I was in adult education, so he did take me back and forth to school. I will give him that. But besides that, I was just a pretty passenger princess, basically getting played and pampered. We would ride around town, you know, all of the different festivals that went on that summer. He took me to the festivals, you know, basically, I was definitely arm candy for this man, okay? If y'all know me, you know I look pretty damn good right now at 40 something. So back when I was 17, trust and believe, your girl was not, you know, there was no nothing shady going on, okay? Body was banging. You know, he took me to all of the nice restaurants in the city. We stayed at the mall, okay? He loved to buy your girl different clothes, bought me an Awasam, some Nike boots, kept my hair braided. I stayed at the Africans, you know what I mean? And it just was like a whirlwind summer of like whining and dining. And yes, I ain't gonna lie, I rode around with him and did a lot of work. I learned a lot about construction and like fixing on houses. I learned a lot about being an entrepreneur, about marketing myself, you know what I mean? But Mostly, he treated me like a queen, treated me like a model. We stayed on Belle Isle taking pictures of the stuff that he bought me to wear and my new hairdos. Like, it was lit. I ain't gonna lie. The first couple of years was lit, but honestly, I'm pretty sure I could have been doing something else in my time, but I can't lie. I was having a good time, And like I said, it's not like I wasn't doing anything with myself. I definitely finished school, and I attribute him to helping me with that. I didn't have to catch the bus. He made it very easy by making sure that I got there on time. He was there to pick me up after school. And yeah, I definitely give him credit with helping me graduate. He definitely was there every step of the way. He was at my graduation, videotaping everything. He made sure that I had my hair done for that, made sure that my senior pictures was paid for and everything. So, I gotta give it to him. He really did his best to help me get through high school. So, boom. After I graduated at 19, he hit me with like the ultimate selling nigga dream, right? He sold me a dream, and I ain't gonna lie, I was young and dumb. I bought it. So, like I told y'all, he worked on houses, and he had a house he had bought from the city. So he he gonna turn it into an after hours spot, like a juke joint type, social club type of situation. And he I could run it, make my own money, basically be my own boss. And I'm like, hell, you know me, what? I'm green, and I'm seeing a get rich quick scheme. Young, naive, I was with it, okay? I was up in that cold house all winter, cleaning, painting, dusting, everything, child. But let's be for real. We ended up doing more work on my walls than on the walls of that house, okay? He was a full-time lunch and a part-time hustler, and he hustled me out of a whole lot of cooking. So, boom, one night, we chilling at the spot or whatever. We done got a whole lot of work done, and so it's the end of the night. He down there doing his favorite hobby, snacking on me or whatever. And we hear a loud bang, bang, bang on the door. So y'all, you gotta know, I jumped up like it was the police because hell, I just didn't know who it was. I ain't had no clue. No, it was not the police, girl. It was his so-called tenant that was supposedly renting the flat upstairs from him. Out there mad as hell, screaming loud and ready to rumble. Turns out, sis was very much his bitch. Not only did she live upstairs from him with her daughter, but she had been messing with him romantically for years. Now, they was not married, but they was still tough, dealing real tough. She was 35 and had been dating him for at least 8 to 10 years. So he started out as her landlord and ended up her sugar daddy. The way he had been glued to my crotch for the past 6 months, though, I had no clue. And at this point, I was like, I didn't give a damn. I ain't leaving. I had the gifts, the getaways, and I was about to open a business. So I told him she had to go, and she got sent away, and I stayed, period. So, of course, y'all, at this point, he commenced to telling me that they used to mess around, but they don't mess around no more. Y'all know the story that they always come up with. And my little, at this point, 19-year-old believed it. Of course, he got to spoiling me real tough, buying me everything I asked for. That's when I got that Alba sign, buying me jewelry, purses, clothes, promised to buy me a car. Y'all know how that go. So, of course, I kept messing with him. At this point, I was feeling boy. He had been munching on me for months. So he kept picking me up. A lot of times he'd have his nephew with him and I have my girl or whatever. But we'd still end up by ourselves at the end of the night. And he very rarely went home. He stayed with me. We went to different rooms or we stayed at different ones of his property because he owned several. So fast forward a few months, y'all. He picks me up, me and my homegirl, and we go hit Belle Isle. Like, we on our way to Belle Isle, and he gets the phone call. So he like, damn, I got to shoot to one of my houses real quick and drop something off. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever, I'm with you. So we pull up, but he parks a little ways down the block. Nah, that should have been my first red flag, but I didn't care. I was like, whatever, I'm here now. Me and my girl sitting in the car, we kicking it, whatever, waiting on him to go down there and handle his business. When he comes down there and get in the car, and out of nowhere, here come old girl walking down the street like she on a mission, okay? And so I look at her or whatever, like, then I look over at him. By now, she done pulled the door open and start swinging on me while I'm still in the car. Dog, when I tell you I was stunned, she got me good, I ain't gonna lie. But I got out the car and commenced to beating on her butt, and I'm not playing. And I don't condone violence against women. But, I mean, what she thought, you know what I'm saying? My girl jumped out the back seat and helped me get my ish together because she kind of had me at first. But we definitely got her a not so sanctified beat down that day and then peeled off like nothing happened. Like, I don't know what she thought. I guess she thought he was about to be on her side because she ended up getting beat down. But no, he was not. Took me right back to my house so I can finish getting it together for my business. And guess what? I still stayed with JB for 4 more years. He kept buying me gifts. I was young, caught up, and comfortable. I ain't gonna lie. It was not the most healthy situation. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, I was enjoying myself. Sometimes I would get down because I knew when his phone was going off, it was her. You know, it was definitely annoying. And, you know, I had some issues, but eventually, you know, I saved up enough and ended up buying my own car because I definitely realized he was never going to buy me the car that he kept promising. Like, he had excuses for everything. He really did not want to give me a car because he didn't want to have to stop driving me around. He didn't want me to not depend on him, you know. He was good for riding around with, having fun, you know, wasting time, to be honest. But after so long, ladies, that got old. You know, after so long, the bags and the jewelry, it just wasn't enough. And I had options. I was young and I started to look at guys my own age. I started to look at guys that was a little bit older than me, not quite as older. And I started to mature. And I was like, listen, I don't have to deal with this. I am too beautiful. I am too smart. I am too talented. I have too much going for myself. And I'm about to start exploring my options because honestly, I had started to almost act like his girlfriend. Like, it was me and him all day, every day. Like I said, I was passenger princess. I even was helping him with his business. So, you guys, I got smart and I moved on to a much better Zaddy, okay? I upgraded my life. My new boo, he had a really nice apartment downtown in one of those high rises off of Jefferson. And he also worked in real estate, but he sold real estate. He was a real estate agent. And he dibbled and dabbled into other things, all legal. And it was a much, much, much better situation. You know, I definitely upgraded and, you know, got my stuff together. And eventually I realized it's much better just being single for real. So I just got what I needed to get from them guys, which was lessons and blessings. And then I moved on. So, ladies, if you've ever confused survival for love, if you've ever clung to someone because they were your escape plan and you were young and you thought that all of the dreams they were selling you were true, sis, I see you. I was you. But let me tell you something real. What God has for you, it is not behind nobody's steering wheel. It's not in a Chanel bag, and it is not on a buzz down AP. Okay? It's just not. It's in God's hands. And if you let him, God will turn your detours into destiny and your tests into testimony, baby. You will come out on top because you are already victorious. And I'm grateful. The situation with JB could have been really bad. But in all actuality, it helped me. I really still think he's what helped me graduate. Him and the fact that school was fun. School was fun again. So I always try to be optimistic and find the good out of everything, all of these story times. And y'all know I got to take it to the word. So right now we're going to go to Matthew 7:6. Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine. And that's no shade to JB. Deep down, he was a good person, but he just was not for me. And he knew that. He knew he was wasting my time. He knew he was not the man for me and that he was wasting my time. But you know what? God restores all. God restores my time and he restores my soul. And like I said, all things work together for the good to them that love God. And I love God. He is such a wonderful, amazing, awesome father. And he has used everything in my life, y'all. All these stories that I'm bringing y'all via Nova Rain, he has used them to make me the better woman. So please make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. It's coming and it's going to be just as juicy. See y'all.